The Museum of Amateur Lives. On a cool Istanbul evening, in quiet defiance of the flamboyant atmosphere of Istiklal Avenue, a group of graduate students, mostly healthcare professionals, had gathered in a modest classroom in the heart of Taksim. Our professor of health management was lecturing when he remarked that healthcare workers must treat their patients professionally. A murmur rose from the room. The reason, of course, was not that the audience was unwilling to provide proper care. These were people working in some of Istanbul's leading public and private healthcare institutions. Rather, they felt that the word professional reduced healthcare to something mechanical, something stripped of its essence. If you work in healthcare, you work in one of the most emotionally intense fields imaginable. Even if you are the worst storyteller or the most reserved person, your professional life is filled with thousands of deeply human stories, stories that could be listened to without pause. And this very nature of the profession draws you in too deeply. It blurs boundaries. It erases the line between duty and personal involvement. One of my colleagues spoke up. He said he would not treat patients professionally, but rather as if they were his own parents. The professor smiled. Perhaps the conversation had finally arrived where he wanted it to. "All right," he said. "But what happens when you have a problem with a patient? Will you walk away, offended as you might with your parents?" My colleague fell silent. We all did. Because wasn't that exactly what sometimes happened? When we became too emotionally invested, didn't we occasionally find ourselves silently resenting our patients the moment that fragile bond broke? He noticed the shift in our expressions. Years of experience as a specialist physician had taught him this moment well. If you treat your patients like your parents, he said, you will also expect from them the patience, care, and love of your parents. And you already know there is no one else in the world who can offer you that. Everyone was listening intently now. The opposite of professionalism is amateurism, he continued. Amateurism is sulking at your patient because you argued with your spouse. Amateurism is arriving late to your patient's appointment, as you would to meet a friend. Amateurism has no standard. Amateurism is arbitrary. Amateurism is chaos. So, be professional with your patients. Do what is required. Yes, no more than that, but no less either. No one expects you to become their child. They expect you to be their healthcare provider. Just do that. What more could be said? To be honest, until that day, I had never fully grasped what professionalism in healthcare truly meant. But on that cool Taksim evening, I felt my perspective expand. Perhaps the amateur spirit of healthcare is only the most innocent form of a much broader weakness. As warm, lively, and impulsive Mediterranean people, with few exceptions, we often struggle to give professionalism the importance it deserves. Yes, this very character allows us to achieve things that more mechanical societies never could. But our tendency to do things inconsistently, or without standard, is also part of the same nature. It doesn't matter whether you are a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or an architect. We always think we know better than our managers. In international relations, we write a few doctoral theses every day. We understand social media best. We smell the untouched pages of history better than anyone else. If we are doctors, we are politicians capable of running a country, executives capable of running a conglomerate, and writers capable of making Tolstoy turn in his grave. If we are engineers, we know medicine well enough to challenge physicians, and sports well enough to manage the biggest football clubs. In trying to know everything, in constantly giving unsolicited advice about everything, we run out of breath to simply live our own lives and to do our own work properly. What we all need is more professionalism. To speak not as if we are chatting in a cafe, but as if we are in an interview. To walk through life not as if we are wandering through a field, but as if we are walking on a stage. In this short life, not to try to do everything, but to truly, properly do the one thing we have chosen as our work. If we still want to do the rest, we can, but please, let it remain a hobby. 6 billion people are singing. Fortunately, we don't hear most of them.